We're going back to a classic with this one. Author Mark Rudolph solidified himself in the internet meme culture back in 2008 with this infamous yet hilarious spat with commentator Tracy Burns. And over what? Well, it was a study that claimed something that's hard to admit at first: money and achievement makes men in general happier at this age. But it's not the same for women. That was enough to set off fireworks on this panel, and you need to see it for yourself before we dive in.
There is a new study out today that says women become unhappy as they get older. Well, the flip side, men get happier as life goes on. Now, the researchers, a couple of economists, by the way, they say it happens when we each turn 48. And of the major factors coming down, it's all about money. Now, what's that all about? We're going to debate it. Mark Rudolph is a no-nonsense man, and Tracy Burns, our Fox Business reporter, joins me to tell us what's really going on. Tracy, is this true?
Come on.
I mean, come on.
All right, first of all,
don't get me started.
I know you've missed me, Mark. First of all, this study was conducted by mostly men. And when men conduct anything, they talk about their finances, because men judge themselves by the size of their wallet, toys, dare I say. So, you put all your toys together in a parking lot and it makes you happy. If they were to ask other questions in this study about spirituality, about the other aspects of our lives, that women would have taken over. I mean, first of all, a woman hits her sexual prime at 35. Things get much better for us.
Hey, I'm 35. This is good for me. All right, Mark, all right, go nuts, because I know you're going to go nuts.
Well, first of all, you're presuming that unhappiness in women begins in middle age. I'd say it starts when she's a little girl, when she's taught that happiness derives from shoes, jewelry, boob jobs, and pedestals. And what's interesting, oh, come on, Alexis, and then you have boys who are taught that they're supposed to make girls happy. I was on the radio 2 weeks ago in Greensboro, North Carolina, and the host related a story. He overheard his son and daughter talking. So brother goes to sister and says, "How come you always have money and I don't?" And she says, "That's simple. I have a boyfriend and you have a girlfriend." The fact of the matter is, boys are taught that they're supposed to make women happy.
No, he's actually living in the dark ages.
There's that.
Mark really has a way to land these verbal punches, but I think that's too often why it's easy to overlook that he's actually right. I went over this study from City University London that came out in 2008, and let's just say Tracy here is plain wrong. Before I tell you though, we take on these entrenched cultural narratives like no one else, so be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out. Now here's the deal, the way most studies quantify something as abstract and subjective as happiness is by measuring the difference between aspiration and attainment. In other words, the difference between what you want from life versus what you have. Are we really going to waste time as a culture quibbling about why a large segment of men's aspirations are material in nature? Men desire status, wealth, and power, and it's been deeply ingrained in them over millions of years of evolution as their traditional protectors and providers. It's easy for someone living in a bubble of luxury in the 21st century like Tracy here to just scoff at that and move forward, but it's an open secret that while not being everything money and material achievement is still a large component of a man's happiness. And it's no wonder that you'd see happiness levels rise in men as they get older and wealthier in their 40s.
What's happening in middle age here is that women who bring 70% of divorces are divorcing the men that they never wanted to marry to begin with, and so now that's what's making the men happy.
That's interesting, because we control the household spending, don't we? Because we're working more than ever. All right, let's get back to the survey, though, all right? Because basically what they're saying is that we are happier in our early adult life, and that women are more likely than men to fulfill their aspirations earlier related to material goods and family. That is true, wouldn't you say, Tracy? And a good thing. It takes men longer to figure out what they want to do in life.
Well, I just think this whole notion of basing your happiness on material goods is part of the problem, hence part of the reason that this thing was run by men in the first place. If there were women on the panel,
Tracy.
If there were women on the panel, they would, ask any woman if she would choose her car over her children, and she'd take the kids any day, whereas I would question a lot of men out there, quite frankly.
Tracy, I can't believe what I just heard you say. There's a reason that
women live longer, Mark. Let me tell you. It is because we are stronger and we are happier at the end of the day than most men, and that is factual, and you know it.
When men are married to women who scream like you, they just want to die sooner. When you have women going around,
you're divorced.
Tracy,
She left you. Let's
Tracy,
put that on the table if you want to play this game.
That was a comeback like few I've seen, but what makes it even crazier is seeing what Tracy said there flies in the face of the facts from the study itself. The idea that money and material wealth makes men happy isn't isolated from factors like relationships and personal fulfillment. In fact, it's very much tied to it. Remember all the research on things like the happy hormone dopamine shares one broad truth. It's the dopamine does not just release in the brain when you achieve a goal, but more when you feel yourself genuinely moving toward it. In other words, to be happy, the journey is more important than the destination. And for a lot of men, that journey to financial success and material wealth is intimately tied to how they feel happy. It's not exactly as hollow and shallow as Tracy's making it out to be, and what's ironic about that in the modern materialist world, especially now, 16 years after this video aired, women aren't shielded from this temptation for wealth and climbing the corporate ladder as a way to feel happy and worthwhile. Plus, of course, the fact that women control over $20 trillion of the global consumer spending market tells you that it's not just men that are entrenched by the allure of material wealth. And the way that Mark used that irony to score a point against Tracy, well, it's truly for the history books.
Tracy,
Yes?
when women go around comparing their engagement rings to show off who got the most carats,
Oh, I don't know where you
tell me
find
that
these
women don't compete.
Mark, I don't know
tell
where
me
you
that
find
women
these
don't
women. The
compete
women
on
I know do
material
not
possessions.
care about that kind of stuff. Mark,
All right,
you gotta
Mark,
get out more.
Women compete on houses, divorce settlements, carats, country clubs. Women compete on money all the time. Give me a break.
Well,
Wait a
you got
second.
the wrong
Wait a
women in
second,
your
Mark,
life, buddy.
Well, Mark, wait a second. The stature of a
Yes.
lot of men is measured in the car they drive, the golf country club they belong to, and very much the place they live in. You have to admit that.
And whether or not their wives are staying at home and not working. That's exactly what I said at the beginning.
Oh,
That's because
dear
men are
Lord.
taught that the men are taught that they have to make women happy. The fact of the matter is, you can't make anybody happy. You have to make yourself happy. Happiness is a byproduct of achievement. So for women to say that they're unhappy, it's their own fault. Anybody who says he's unhappy, it's his
Oh my
own
goodness,
fault.
Mark,
Everybody has to
I'm
make
unhappy
himself
just
or
listening
herself
to you. You're
happy.
giving me such a bloody headache.
Yeah, I mean,
where are you from? Where are you from? Dear Lord, I would never in a million years teach my girls that they have to grow up to be reliant on a man, as you can well imagine. I would never teach my son that he
that's
should
wonderful.
be attracted
But Tracy, you're
to
the same one. You're the
whoop-
same one who bragged that she's so strong and so tough and doesn't need a man's money. Yet you're taking alimony.
I have 3 children.
Okay, Mark,
You know what?
So, but
This
you don't
is
need a man's money.
Should he have brought that up? I'll let you be the judge, but it was certainly on par with the blunt way that Mark Rudolph is known to speak his mind. I think there's one central mistake that Tracy made throughout this exchange, which is implying that material wealth for men is a standalone or a replacement for other things like relationships, marriage, or family. They don't have to be mutually exclusive, and they aren't. In fact, when a young man tries to get his life in order financially, a lot of things are forced to fall into place, like skill set, career, personal development, networking, which eventually leads to meeting new people and developing lasting relationships. It's a spiral upward, and money is just a consequence. And speaking of whether men are wrong for linking money with happiness, I found an intriguing clip of Tracy Burns that should perhaps struggle to justify. Here she's defending billionaire Keith Griffin's wife for demanding $1 million a month in alimony for her kids.
The estranged wife of hedge fund billionaire Kenneth Griffin wants $1 million a month. She says that's how much she needs to support the couple's 3 young children and their 4 nannies. Tracy Burns is here. Wait a minute. This is supposed to be one of those stories that says $1 million a month. But if he's a billionaire with a whopping great load of money, what's wrong with $1 million a month?
Nothing at all. Although the 4 nannies, I hope one of them is like a young somebody for her, because there's only 3 kids. All right, look, Illinois law says equitable distribution. So anything he made after they're married, they split equitably. Not equally, equitably.
During their marriage?
Yes, I'm sorry, during their marriage.
During their marriage.
Well, yes, after they walk down the aisle. I'm sorry. And as far as the kids are supposed to maintain their current lifestyle. So if someone took them on $40,000, $50,000 vacations before the divorce, they, in theory, are supposed to maintain that lifestyle. So this woman has every right to ask for what she's asking. He made $1 billion.
Can you tell me what you'd spend $1 million a month on the kids for? Well, probably she was gonna spend it on herself, huh? Yeah, so that's what you should keep in mind when she's acting like material wealth or money doesn't matter. But let me know in the comments what you thought about this, because it's certainly a great window into the past to see just how far we've come in our gender politics over the last 2 decades.